Hi from the Maldives. We wanted to bring you guys behind the scenes. I'm with Roberto, and actually, how do you introduce yourself?
Roberto Carlos. No, Roberto Ochoa.
And what do you do?
I'm a filmmaker. I've been doing documentaries from marine life in Latin America, and now we're here in Maldives.
And the Maldives has been amazing. It's been 2.5 weeks that we've been out here. And actually, what was the highlight for you?
My highlight, I think, was the manta rays, but like massive
Which day?
amount. I think 2 days ago, the day that we arrived here in Hanifaru, and I got in the middle of like maybe more than 100 manta rays around me. It was like,
This is actually true. So we saw over 120 manta rays, and Hanifaru Bay is in the Maldives and is known as being one of the largest aggregations of mantas in the world. It was, I could not stop giggling underwater. How many times have you swam or scuba dive or snorkeled with manta rays?
with manta rays, well, I've been doing this every year in Ecuador because we have a lot of oceanic mantas in Ecuador coast and also in the Galapagos. So I haven't counted that, but this is like something completely different because regularly when you dive with manta rays, you have like 1, 2, or maximum 10 manta rays around you, but not 100, you know. So it was a little bit even difficult for me to free dive with the mantas because every time that I was coming down and I had this big traffic of mantas coming on top of me, I was like, okay, so how do I get back?
That is true. They are massive, massive animals. And even for me, snorkeling on the surface, I found myself having to put my hands and my legs out of the water so that I wouldn't accidentally touch or hit one. That was really a magical experience. What was your other favorite thing you saw in the water on this trip besides the manta rays?
Well, it was that day that it was not expected. We were just having dinner. It was like 7:30 p.m. and we were like everybody like just laughing because it was the only day that it wasn't like a little bit fun because we couldn't find too many mantas. And then we had a whale shark right next to us, you know, also having dinner. Yeah, we have a little bit of lights in that area when we have dinner on the boat, and those lights were bringing plankton. So the whale shark decided to start getting all that plankton right next to the boat. So it was like,
I remember sitting at dinner and someone was yelling whale shark and I didn't believe it. I was like, no, no, no. And then there was like more screaming of excitement. And then everyone jumped in the water. That was really special. That's actually my first time seeing a whale shark.
Really?
That was a baby one, right?
Yeah, it was like 6 meters, baby.
Yeah, still really, really, really huge, which was amazing. I thought you were going to say sharks in the beginning. All right,
yeah,
I like it.
Whale shark.
But tell me about your experience with the sharks. And actually, this one I don't know the answer to. Is there a special area in the Maldives that's known for seeing the sharks that you saw? Or should we have been seeing them everywhere we're at?
Well, in the Southern Islands from the Maldives, you have tiger sharks, also treasure sharks, and sometimes if you get lucky, you have school of hammerheads. So it's I can highly recommend to do that dive. It's something very similar than Galapagos or Cocos or Malpelo because you have like school of sharks and also treasure sharks that are not seen like in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So I can recommend to all the people to at least do 2 or 3 days trip when they come. But like the best part here, I think, is Hanifaru Bay with all these aggregation of manta rays.
I agree with that. I would say that was definitely, Hanifaru was definitely the highlight of this trip for me. Which, by the way, speaking of sharks and Galapagos, I'm going to link some of his amazing videos in the description below, so make sure you check them out because they're pretty epic.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to link the podcast that we did together where he talked about swimming with some of these sharks and experiences with it, because so many of you ask, like, how are you so daring? How are you so adventurous to get into the water? And I think oftentimes for me, the fears that I had before were simply by not knowing what these manta rays or sharks were like. But once you're down there and you see their behavior, for me, that video that I have on the channel about diving with bull sharks, I realized that they're really not interested in me at all.
At all.
Yeah.
That they can come and they can interact with you. It's very, very, very fun. And even here, when we were with the manta rays, I do a lot of try to get interaction with all the marine life. So when I got here, I was trying to play with the mantas, and sometimes the people that were right next to me, they thought, "What is this guy doing?" He's saying hi to the manta, but they're really, really smart. So sometimes when you act like that and you're trying to get an interaction with them, they will also do the same.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. Yesterday, actually, we couldn't see too many mantas. We were having only like around 8 to 10 mantas with us. Still a lot.
Only.
And they started to have a lot of interaction. And those mantas stayed with us for the whole dive. It was like an hour,
cool.
and they thought I was a little bit crazy, but I'm not.
You had a beautiful interaction with the turtle in the beginning also. That was really fun to see you. He had his camera out, and I'll put this footage in this video, but the turtle was just hanging out with you, almost looking like you guys were hugging each other. I felt a little bit jealous. Question, so how many times have you done liveaboards?
Liveaboards, I don't know, maybe like 100 times, maybe.
Wait, are you being serious?
I think I've been in a lot, like I've been in Hawaii, I've been in Cuba,
Okay, spoiled.
Bahamas,
so this is my
Galapagos.
first liveaboard experience, which has been phenomenal. What would you say for someone who is curious about a liveaboard and doing one for themselves? Like, what do you look for, or what kind of advice would you give to them?
What kind of advice? Depending on the place that you're visiting, like in this case, to visit Maldives, I highly recommend right now to do a liveaboard. Why? Because you go around to different islands, and right now because of COVID, if you want to move from one of the islands to another one, I think you have to do a PCR test and do a quarantine for 3 days. I don't know how many days, but so if you are on the liveaboard, you can just discover all these different places, but you don't need a PCR to do all this.
That's actually an interesting way of putting that, because we very rarely, if not ever, got off the boat. We only went from boat to water. So that's actually really interesting. I would also say one of the things that was super cool about being on a liveaboard is we were going to parts of the Maldives that you don't see anybody. Like, today is a very rare day in which we see a resort, but most frequently, especially at the beginning of our trip, we didn't see anyone.
Yeah, and you can even, because there's no people living in the island, sometimes you can get up, visit a nice beach, clean, with such a small island, and maybe just stay there for a couple of hours doing some shots of a lot of nice videos. So it's such an amazing place here.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so where can people find you?
And just Google it, my name, Roberto Ochoa, or you can also visit Roberto Ochoa HE on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And I'll link all of those below, so make sure you check them out. Thanks, man. Maldives, so fun. Come visit.